Hi there, in this video I'd like to talk about the Nintendo Switch, which I have here. I love this thing, it's one of the best consoles I've ever owned. I think it's up there with Dreamcast as one of my favourites of all time. But I was thinking about Nintendo and its habit of releasing the initial hardware spec and then revising it twice. You look at the Game Boy, the original Game Boy. First came out as the green screen Game Boy, and then there was the Pocket Edition, which had a superior screen, better refresh rate, and it was smaller, ran on fewer batteries. And then after that there was the Game Boy Color, which added colour graphics and still played the old games. So that was cool. Then you had the Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance came out as the original version, which was a flat, traditional console, very much like actually the Switch, in terms of having the screen and buttons at the side. Then there was the flip-top version of the SP, and then after that we had the Game Boy Micro that was much smaller, the weight of 80 paper clips. And then after that there was the DS, which then had the DS Lite, and then the DSi that added the extra eShop functionality, do you remember? And the camera, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And then of course there's the Nintendo 3DS, which came out as the normal 3DS. Then there was the 3DS XL, which the DS had as well, didn't it? The DS XL. Yeah, so even more. The 3DS XL, and then the new 3DS and its XL equivalent as well. So again, two hardware revisions, basically family. So 3 different stages for each one. So with Switch, I was thinking surely that's going to happen as well with Switch because they love doing it. It makes sense. It refreshes the hardware, gets people interested. If they'd held off buying before, they might buy it now. Or if they already had one, some people are dedicated enough to buy it again, which is, I was going to say is crazy to me, but I've done it myself, so what can I say? Oh dear. So I was thinking, what could they actually do? Are they going to have an XL version of the Switch? I'd say no. This screen is big. Yeah, that is a big screen. It's far bigger than a Nintendo 3DS. This is the new 3DS. You look at the size of those screens in comparison, and that's pretty tiny. This is a big device. And if you want it bigger, you can just connect it to a TV. If you want a 20-inch screen, connect it to a 20-inch screen. If you want a 50-inch screen, connect it to that. I don't think it needs to go bigger. If it were to go smaller, then, I mean, how are the Joy-Con grips going to fit? These things are already tiny in someone with hands like mine. I've got reasonably large hands, and these are very small in them. You try playing a game like this, and you do feel it's tiny. It still feels great. I love playing Metal Slug 3 on this, and Fast RMX as well. It's very nice in that mode. But I can't see it connecting with a standard sized Joy-Con to a smaller device because they're going to stick out the sides. It's going to look weird, and this is quite big as it is. The other thing, of course, is if you were to put a smaller version of the Switch into stand-up mode, it wouldn't be big enough to play, and that takes away one of the big things about social play that Nintendo is actually going for. So I don't think that's going to happen either. So what I think is going to happen with the Nintendo Switch in the future is it will have 2 hardware revisions. The first will be a kid's version that perhaps has bumpers around it and is ultra solid, something that children can use and abuse. If you look at Nintendo consoles of the past, they've been very rugged. So I think a kid's version is probably going to happen at some point. But the other one that really gets me excited is the prospect of a Switch Deluxe. They might call it Switch DX, we'll see. And what that would be 3 main improvements on this already fantastic design. Firstly, the battery needs to be better because although this provides 3 hours in one burst, which is plenty in one go, it's not very much in terms of, if you look at old Game Boys, they could get sort of 10 hours or more out of one battery lot. So a new battery is a good idea. Secondly, I think the resolution of the screen could be bumped up to 1080p. That's probably not possible at the moment. The reason this is 720p with this beautiful screen, because everyone says it's beautiful. The reason it's 720 is probably because that requires less horsepower to push those visuals. It means less heat, but crucially it also means less power draw, which is how they're able to get 3 hours out of what is basically a portable home console, because this is extremely powerful. I don't care how anyone says, it's a very powerful machine. So I think if you were to have a 1080p screen, it could be very slightly bigger for that deluxe feel, but not that much bigger. then it would need the larger battery as well, which could get you better battery life if you ran it in a reduced resolution, or even because batteries will just be better in a few years' time anyway, they'll be able to provide the docked mode in handheld mode, and that would be absolutely wonderful. So I think those are the two main things that they would improve with the Deluxe. But the other thing, of course, the other feature that they need to improve is the size of the internal hard drive. Digital Foundry did a fantastic video recently where they were looking at how fast games loaded off of the internal memory compared to a game card that you buy, or loading from a micro SD card. And as it turned out, the internal hard drive was in fact the fastest method of loading, and the game cartridges themselves are actually the slowest, which amazes me. But that's the way it is. 32 gigabytes of onboard storage is not enough, especially with almost 10 taken up by the operating system. So I think what will happen is we'll get either a 64 gig or probably a 128 gigabyte version of the Switch. It will have a 1080p screen, improved battery life that allows 1080 mode to actually happen, and it will be slightly larger. The screen will be larger, but it won't be much bigger than this unit. And that will be the Switch DX. That's what I'm calling right now. You might disagree, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. So let me know in the comments what you think, and what you think of Switch in general. I'm going to be reviewing the actual hardware soon. Excuse that train. There's a train outside making a noise. I'll be reviewing the hardware soon, and so look out for that one. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.